Okay, I want you to forget everything you think you know about fiction for a minute, because today we're not just opening a novel, we're opening a case file. You see, Gaston Leroux's masterpiece wasn't written as just a story. He presented it as a piece of investigative journalism. So let's treat it that way. Let's follow the evidence.
Right out of the gate, Leroux makes this absolutely shocking claim. He insists this is not a ghost story. He says it's the true account of a real man of flesh and blood who just happened to wear the mask of a phantom. He even claims he found the proof, everything from first-hand witnesses to the actual corpse of the ghost himself. So let's follow his investigation and see where it leads. So, here's how we're going to crack this case. We'll start with the strange happenings at the opera. Then we'll zoom in on a key person of interest. After that, we explore the crime scene deep beneath Paris, analyze the deadly final ultimatum, and then finally, we'll deliver our verdict on the man they called the Phantom. All right, first up, the haunting of the opera. Our case opens at the famous Palais Garnier in Paris, with a whole string of bizarre and frankly terrifying events. The staff? They were convinced it was a haunting. But for us, this is our evidence file. The first sightings, as you could imagine, caused total panic. The ballet girls described this figure in a perfect tuxedo, but with the face of a skull, a literal death's head stalking the hallways. He'd vanish as quickly as he appeared, but that terror? Oh, that was very real.
And this is where it gets really weird. The ghost wasn't just, floating around. He was organized. He sent formal letters to the new managers with a list of demands. A salary, his own private box for every show. This isn't just a spook. This is calculated. This is extortion.
Now, the new managers, of course, just laughed it off. They figured it was some big prank left behind by the old management team. They were about to learn, the hard way, that the Phantom did not have a sense of humor. Big mistake.
And just like that, the threats turned deadly. Joseph Buquet, a stagehand who'd been bragging that he'd seen the ghost, is found dead. The official verdict was suicide, but come on, the circumstances were just way too suspicious. The specific knot in the noose, the location, it all felt like a message. Our case just went from a simple haunting to potential homicide. So while this wave of terror is sweeping through the opera house, something else happens. Something totally unexpected. A young, unknown singer named Christine Daaé suddenly becomes an overnight star. Her rise is so unbelievably fast, it just doesn't make sense, which in our investigation makes her a person of interest. Picture this. It's a huge gala. The lead soprano suddenly gets sick. Christine, a total nobody from the chorus, steps in. And she doesn't just sing well. She delivers a performance so incredible, it brings the entire house to its feet. People said her voice wasn't just good, it was angelic, almost supernatural. The timing of it all? A little too perfect to be a coincidence, don't you think? So when people ask her, how on earth did you do that? Christine gives this very strange explanation. She claims this angel of music, a celestial tutor sent by her dad from heaven, has been giving her secret lessons. It's a sweet story, I guess, but our investigation points to something a lot more real. Yeah, this was no spirit. Digging a little deeper, we find out it was a physical male voice that Christine heard right through the walls of her dressing room. A voice that was absolutely brilliant, for sure, but also incredibly demanding and intensely possessive. And then we get our smoking gun. Our key witness, the Comte Raoul de Chagny, who happens to be Christine's childhood sweetheart, provides the final piece of the puzzle. He's hiding outside her dressing room, and he hears the voice himself. It's not an angel, it's a man. And that man is telling Christine, "You must love me." And boom, there it is. The haunting and our person of interest are connected. And now the case takes another dark turn. Right in the middle of her performance, Christine Daaé vanishes from her locked dressing room. Poof, gone. Raoul follows the trail, which leads us deep, deep down into the maze beneath the Paris Opera. The journey Christine later describes is the stuff of actual nightmares. A mirror in her dressing room, a full-length mirror, swings open, revealing a dark passage. She's led through it, put on the back of a white horse, and then rode across a huge, black, underground lake. This isn't just a basement. Her captor built an entire secret world for himself down there. So she's down there in his hidden home, and she's just driven by this desperate need to see the face behind that incredible voice. So she does it. She reaches up and yanks off his mask. Her reaction is just pure, unfiltered terror. The face of her angel is the face of a living corpse.
And right there, our suspect finally gives us a name. He admits it. He's not a ghost, not an angel, not some kind of spirit. He is just a man named Erik, a man who happens to be a brilliant architect, inventor, and musician, who, because of his horrifying deformity, has lived his entire life in the shadows, making the opera's underbelly his personal kingdom.
So this is it, the climax of our investigation. Raoul, with the help of a mysterious guide known only as the Persian, actually finds his way down to Erik's lair. But they don't get the jump on him. Instead, they walk right into a trap, which leads to one last, horrific choice. I mean, the cruelty of this choice is just staggering. Erik has rigged the cellars with enough gunpowder to blow the entire opera house sky high. He gives Christine an ultimatum, symbolized by two little bronze figures. If she turns the scorpion, she agrees to be his wife forever, and the gunpowder is safely flooded with water. If she turns the grasshopper, everyone dies. Raoul, the audience, all of them. Faced with this absolutely impossible decision, what can she do? She makes the ultimate sacrifice. To save Raoul, to save the hundreds of innocent people just enjoying a show upstairs, she condemns herself to a life with Erik. She turns the scorpion.
But then, something happens that no one saw coming. As Erik is about to claim his prize, Christine, instead of shrinking away in terror, she looks at him and shows him pity. She actually weeps for him and gives him the first kiss he has ever received in his entire life that wasn't from his own mother. And that one simple act of compassion, it just shatters him. It breaks through a lifetime of rage and loneliness, and he lets them both go. He sets them free.
Erik dies just a few weeks later, apparently from a broken heart. And in the aftermath, we can finally piece together the full story of this tragic figure and officially close the case file.
When you look at it, Erik's life was just one rejection after another. Born looking like a monster in the eyes of the world, even to his own mother, he was forced to live in the shadows. His genius, which could have created wonders, was twisted and used to build torture chambers and illusions. He never really had a chance to be anything other than the monster everyone told him he was.
You know, Leroux's own investigation ends on this one central tragedy. This idea that Erik had this massive capacity for love and for greatness, but because of a face he didn't choose, he was completely cut off from humanity and forced to build his entire empire in a damp cellar.
So after looking at all the evidence, the motives, the tragic end, the final verdict is really left up to us, isn't it? Erik was a murderer, he was an extortionist, he was a kidnapper. The facts are clear. But was he born evil, or was he the product of a cruel world that refused to see past his face? The case file is closed, but that question remains.